This week, Uber the top. Old Deckard meets new who? And smile, we're in Dubai. This is how a self-driving car sees the world. LiDAR sensors feed the car with a continuous 360-degree view of its surroundings, along with crucial depth information. It is the key technology for a successful autonomous drive. This week in the US, a mighty court case got underway as Google's autonomous car spin-off company Waymo and Uber locked horns in a battle that could have seen Uber's self-driving taxi plans stall. What was expected to be a 3-week battle over who had access to the secret keys that make autonomous cars work was suddenly ended on Friday as the two sides agreed to stop locking horns and work together. An out-of-court settlement seems to have sealed the deal. With that possible roadblock removed, Uber's plans to taxi us around without a driver are a step closer. And they're not stopping there. Uber continues to look to the future of transportation, which in just a few years might look very different to the way it looks now. Dan Simmons has been looking up.
Even self-driving cabs will get stuck in jams, so this is Uber's vision. When you're tight for time, go by air. It's ambitious, and so is the timescale.
Our goal is by 2020 to launch our first demonstrator flights in Dallas and Los Angeles to show that as a proof of concept that this can work, and then work to scale by 2023 and 2025. So we're providing commercial flights to a lot of our riders, giving them a new way to travel.
One of Uber's partners, Bell Helicopters, has showed off its design for a 4-seater cabin, which could include a pilot. Here's their 360 view with the alternative setup: 4 seats, 4 passengers. The aircraft, like our cars, would navigate automatically. It's electric with a range of about 60 miles, they say. Now, we've seen other designs for air taxis of late, including Chinese firm Ehang's 184, which recently shuttled actual people in this autopiloted drone. And this air cab by German firm Volocopter, which uses 18 rotors and 9 separate battery packs, just in case. While NASA and the FAA are working on new air traffic control systems for these type of craft in the United States, it's the FAA that will have to be convinced self-piloting electric air cabs are safe.
We will ask the applicants to come forward with their engineering proposals of what tests will they propose to do so that we can ensure that if there's a fire or a short or something goes wrong during a flight, that somebody can safely land and get away from that aircraft before it does damage to the people on board the aircraft or on the ground for that matter.
So will it work? Here's Uber's case study. We've landed in LA, traffic's a nightmare and a taxi would take us 80 minutes, whereas the air trip to the Skyport plus a short transfer is less than half an hour. And Uber says it could end up costing about the same amount. Okay, there are many reasons why self-flying electric taxis sound like a good idea. But when you're saving less than 1 hour, Uber's dream will need to run smoothly to deliver.
Apologies, Mr. Simmons. Very busy airspace right now. It's blade to blade up there. Unfortunately, the weather's closing in, Mr. Simmons. I'm not quite sure we're going to be able to get you away tonight. Really sorry, we're just cleaning out the cabin. You're 2 kilos over, I'm afraid. Might we lose a penguin? We're just recharging your taxi at the moment, Mr. Simmons. It'll be a while.
At least that last one shouldn't be too much of a problem. Uber have teamed up with EV specialists ChargePoint and are predicting a 4-minute juice-up time. Now, that would be special.
Sorry, you were running 17.5 seconds late and the pilots had to cancel. Please do book again via the app.
But perhaps the most challenging part of this project is to get us, the public, comfortable with the idea of taking an air taxi.
When we think about consumer adoption of new technologies, this is not a problem that is novel or unique to air travel. We saw this with elevators when they first came out, and actually in order to get consumers comfortable with it, an elevator operator would remain in the elevator even if after it was made electronic, just to give consumers comfort. We're going to be doing the same with autonomous vehicles right now, as we have safety drivers staying in the car, explaining this sort of technology to riders. And the same will be true with our pilots. We'll be launching with pilots who will serve not only as the operators of the flight, but as an ambassador to get riders comfortable with this new mode of transit. So soon enough, they'll forget about its novelty and be back to texting and making other use of their time while in transit.
Just like the Uber Waymo court case over who owns the specialist tech that makes self-driving cars work, the creation of the flying cab will no doubt have its own dogfight in court. Perhaps that's another reason why Uber's keen to get in early.
That was Dan. Now, the first place that we're expecting these flying cabs to take to the air is, of course, the city of Dubai, which always promises to foster and allow trials of new technologies. Although when we visited last month, it soon became clear that flying taxis there too are still a few years off. But one big change that is being unveiled is not to do with aircraft, but with its airport. Kate Russell has been looking at what's new in arrivals.
Dubai International is the world's busiest airport for international passengers. Nearly 90 million people went through it in the last year, and in the next couple, it plans to expand annual capacity by 1/3 again.
This airport has 2 runways, it has 3 terminal buildings and 4 major concourses, but we have room for no more. So whatever growth we take from this point forward, it has to be done with the existing infrastructure.
So Dubai International has decided if you can't get bigger, you have to get smarter. I was invited for a peek inside its brand new Airport Command and Control Centre just before it becomes fully operational. This airport has been kitted out with the latest camera equipment to help staff predict the flow of passenger traffic.
The technology is kind of cool. What it does is it uses 3D cameras in the ceiling and it looks for the outline of humans on the floor moving around, and then it tracks them through the whole process.
Airport staff can get this information on smartphones and tablets, which helps them to direct the crowd, open new gates, and even tell passengers where their baggage is. While all this data helps keep the airport moving, the amount being collected is also causing some issues.
Already there's 7 billion data points in there, and we've yet to connect it up to everything. So we've got baggage data and passenger data, but we've yet to put in things like energy consumption and water consumption. And these, as we bring all of that together, we can really optimize and the airport will make it more efficient and drive for even more passengers.
So, what do you do when you need a data centre in a hurry? Well, building one inside shipping containers is definitely one solution. As Dubai prepares to play host to a massive World Expo in 2020, the airport had to do some quick thinking to be able to handle the extra 10 million passengers a month.
This solution took just over 12 months to build. A traditional data centre built out of bricks and concrete would normally be about 2 to 3 years.
Next on the list of high-tech upgrades is face recognition to clear immigration quickly, AI to predict seasonal fluctuations in demand, and a system to tell passengers when their baggage will hit the carousel. All great news if you're passing through the airport, but there's a solid business case for all these upgrades too.
The more passengers we can put through this site, the more profitable this airport will become. And it's better for the city, it's better for the economy. So we're really working hard to make sure we maximise the use of this, of Dubai International site.
With aviation projected to contribute almost 40% of Dubai's wealth in the next couple of years, this airport will continue to be a vital part of the economy. Flying high isn't fun for everyone, though.
Hello, world.
Acrophobia, or fear of heights, is one of the most common phobias, but this virtual reality therapy hopes to help.
Sweating again.
Chan here can confidently fly a plane.
Okay.
But when it comes to heights in general, it's a different story.
Oh no. Oh no, I've got to move. Leave her. Come back, bring me back, bring me back, bring me back, bring me back. I can't do it. Come back. I can't move while I'm out there. I need to be back here to do that. I couldn't go up a ladder. Just couldn't go up a ladder. I couldn't go over high bridges. If I drove to Wales, I went round the long way as opposed to going over the bridge. I just don't like open heights. But I can jump in an airplane and fly an airplane. That's a completely different environment. In my head it is anyway, that's for sure.
Welcome back.
Oh God. Oh, it's dark.
So how are you feeling?
High, anxious, sweaty, nervous.
Yeah. Even though you've been through the process of doing this before,
Yeah.
you still feel the same level of anxiety doing that now, or would you say it's dramatically reduced?
I'm way more confident. I've got much more confidence in doing it now than I did the first time around. Went on a holiday with some friends. They were going on the roller coasters. I talked about this VR thing that we were doing, and they said, well, then you should be able to come on the ride. So watched my family go around and my friends go around a couple more times, and then just thought, well, I can do this.
If you look to your left, you'll see a basket of light balls. What I need you to do is throw the light balls down into the atrium.
I think VR can treat pretty much any type of fear or phobia. So it might be, for example, fear of a cat or spider or dogs. What VR can enable you to do is relearn that actually you're safe in the situations you fear. The beauty of VR is in fact that disconnect. When you're there, you know actually you're not really in that environment, and that enables you to do things you wouldn't normally do in the real world. But all the scientific data says that learning that you make in VR does transfer into the real world.
In this program, you're going to try a series of tasks.
Earlier this month, it was announced that the UK's National Health Service has invested in this idea of using virtual reality therapy to battle severe mental health issues by putting sufferers in a virtual environment they would struggle with in the real world.
It's such a tricky task.
This immersive approach, plus the availability of virtual therapists, could more readily provide more therapy to more people at a lower cost.
At the heart of all mental health problems are difficulties interacting in the world. And with VR, we can put people back in the situations that trouble them and coach them in the best ways to think, feel and behave in those situations. We've got to test it, we've got to trial, we've got to make sure things work, but the potential is enormous.
Hello and welcome to the Week in Tech. It was the week police in China donned special sunglasses to catch crooks using facial recognition tech. British MPs went to Washington to talk fake news with Facebook, Google and Twitter. And Virgin Money joined Lloyds Bank in banning customers from buying Bitcoin with their credit cards. The cryptocurrency had another roller coaster ride this week, falling to as low as $6,000 before recovering. That's down from a high of almost $20,000 in December. It was also the week that SpaceX rocket, the Falcon Heavy, blasted into space. Elon Musk sent it off with his old cherry red Tesla sports car, a spacesuited mannequin, and a David Bowie soundtrack, on repeat. However, it wasn't all good news for Tesla, as the electric car company also posted its biggest ever quarterly loss, almost $700 million. It says it's addressing production issues with its Model 3 car. And finally, a 14-year-old has created an app to help people with Alzheimer's disease. It uses facial recognition tech to help patients remember their loved ones. They can scroll through photos of friends and family, and the app lets them know who the person is and how they're related to them. You can also take a picture of someone you don't recognize, and the app will try to identify them.
Now, If you are a film fan, you will know that it is awards season. And over the next few weeks, we'll be chatting to some of the real heroes behind the movies nominated for the Best Visual Effects Oscar. First up, Blade Runner 2049. And spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the film, you might want to go and make a cup of tea for the next 4 minutes or so. Still there? Good. Well, if you have seen it, then you'll know that the character of Rachel from the original movie makes a surprise appearance, looking exactly like she did in 1982. We found out how.
I had your job once. I was good at it. Things were simpler then.
A lot of the work we do in visual effects is kind of very broad, very strong, like think about the monster screaming towards camera. This was the complete opposite. It was very subtle stuff. So it was all like in the kind of micro details of the face. So the biggest challenge is definitely the emotional performance. And in this case, since she was talking, so she was delivering lines.
Don't you love me?
We did 3 shots from the original movie. That was kind of like a proof of concept that our digital Rachel was good enough, and we showed it to Denis, the director, and the studio, and they couldn't really tell the difference. And then, they had to struggle to see which one was digital, and that's kind of when we knew that we had it in the bag, and that our Rachel was good enough to hold up on the big screen. We had Sean Young on set in Budapest, so we 3D scanned her and got a lot of photographic reference of her as well. And what that allowed us to do was to fit a digital skull inside the digital model we had of her. When you age, obviously your soft tissue drops down with gravity and you get wrinkles and so on, but your skull doesn't change. So your skull is pretty much the same. And what that allowed us to do was that we had a digital skull, and we kind of built our 23-year-old Sean Young from 1982 around that digital skull. So the cheekbones, the forehead, the chin, the nose, so on, we could kind of fit it around that digital skull, which was invaluable reference for us. And that kind of ensured that we had a physically correct model to Sean Young's real skull. And we also captured performance double, so it's her body that's used in shots, a girl called Lauren Pita. So we had a lot of kind of 3D data to work from, and the good thing about the 3D data is that we can rotate it around in the computer, we can look at it from all angles. When it came down to doing the actual performance, it was all hand animated, because basically Denis, the director, he wanted to basically direct what we did like a normal performance, like he would do on set with a regular actor. We can make a still image look very, very photoreal and good, but getting that believable animation, that's still the biggest challenge.
They know you're here.
Great film! And next week we'll be talking to the Oscar-nominated visual effects supervisor of Marvel's space epic Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. All I can say is, I am Groot.
Back in Dubai, I'm really starting to see how determined this young country is to lead the world in everything smart. I've already seen the high-tech police force in action, met the robocops, and the drone unit that will watch over everything from the sky. Now I'm meeting the world's first Minister for Artificial Intelligence, and he's ambitious about what comes next.
One of my favourite sayings from the tech industry is Larry Page of Google said, almost every time we do something crazy, we make progress. Do you find the same thing?
Many of the ideas that they come up with, not just Silicon Valley, even the top tech companies from around the world, whether it's from the UK or from China, the common denominator between all of them is that they do not fear something that's called impossible. They would come up with ideas that might seem crazy at first, but then the impact of these ideas would be truly global and phenomenal. So with that mentality and with the idea of let the brightest minds from around the world come, let them thrive here in the UAE and let them create something for the rest of the world.
How do you make sure that you bring all of the people of the UAE along on that journey for digital change and innovation?
The UAE is very unique. We have a very young population. That population can be retrained and repurposed in positions that will be created, I think, in the future. So we understand that the opportunity for us to lead the future is there. We launched an initiative in 2017 called the 1 Million Arab Coders Initiative. We're teaching 1 million people how to code. This is the language of the future. I think making these coders into artificial intelligence experts is going to be a difficult challenge, but it will be something that's easier from us training someone who does not have any understanding when it comes to the language of the future, which is coding. So think about what Apple has done for the iPhone and what Google has done for search. That hopefully is going to be what the UAE is going to do for governments.
Dubai is a place not scared to adopt new ideas or fail trying. So it's throwing all of its might behind bleeding-edge innovations. Concepts that may look outlandish elsewhere are all welcome here. And the Dubai Future Accelerators programme is what the government hopes will take these ideas from page to stage. The government can drive the vision of where Dubai goes next. I guess more like a company than a country. After all, the monarchy needs little in the way of democratic input.
A majority of this can fail, but the moment you create one success story, the sky's the limit on where you can reach. So as long as you have that kind of mindset, that a ton of this will be a write-off, but once you have that success, the whole world will talk about it and you will become a platform. We believe regulations or amending regulations in favor of any innovation is a must. Entrepreneurs struggle a lot to show their new technologies and whatever they work on, and to have those decision-making individuals from the government entity work hand in hand with them to really disrupt makes life and makes their growth progress much, much faster.
So Dubai may just have the recipe to pull it off, an accommodating leadership and a lot of cash. This may be the perfect place to fail and come back smiling, especially as the government is committing to make Dubai the happiest city in the world, alongside the smartest. Visiting the Dubai Smart Office, I was suitably welcomed by Farah.
Mrs. Kate from BBC Click, your host is waiting for you.
Who took me to meet one of the leading technology champions in the country. And despite the reputation the region has from the outside, it made me very happy to discover she is a woman.
The technology is not the end of our journey. It's only a mean that will take us to improve people's life and make them more happier. By having blockchain, by having artificial intelligence agents embedded in our government services, by having robots like our receptionist, this is the future. But yet, we keep challenging ourselves. What is next?
Whether all this works or not, you can see Dubai is dreaming big. This is a dynamic, modern city built from the desert up. Maybe its motto should be, if you don't try, you don't succeed.
That was Kate in Dubai, and that's it from us for this week. Don't forget we live on Twitter at BBC Click, and we're also on Facebook too. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you soon.